What's going on, guys? Zalk here, and today I got a pretty special video for you guys. So yeah, we're actually going to do a extensive, kind of in-depth deep dive on Acheron, her kit, kind of characters that you should have in her teams, and just do like a really big overview on everything that Acheron does, kind of what you should build her around, all the materials you're going to need for, just kind of the all-in-one kind of guide that you're going to need for Acheron. If you guys are pulling for her when 2.1 comes out. And as of this video, I believe she's like a week or two away. So yeah, for this video, I'm just gonna try to cover everything I can so you guys have all the information ready, so you guys are fully prepared for when Acheron comes out. So yeah, guys, without further ado, let's get straight into it. So first off, we're just gonna watch Acheron's segment from the 2.1 live stream that just happened pretty recently. So first off, it's gonna show her skill right here, the Octobolt Flash. She's gonna gain her special charges when she uses her skill from that. And she needs to accumulate these charges as quickly as possible, as you guys can see, to unleash her ultimate, because her ultimate and the way she gains that isn't like any other thing that's in the game. She only can get her ultimate if the debuffs are applied from other characters or from herself. So the team right here that they have in this clip is actually very important because it's a very, very strong team to have with Acheron, because as you guys can see right now, Pela is able to apply her debuff on all the enemies. And her debuff is really, really good. It gives a 30% defense down, at least, on all enemies. And then, of course, once those debuffs are activated, you see Acheron just killed that dog right there, and then that dog exploded and then applied a debuff on more enemies, which then gave her her ult. You guys saw in that last clip that the ult actually was able to be used. So now they're just talking about how that stuff works, and how the defense debuff is applied and all that stuff, and how other characters can apply the debuffs, and it'll also work for Acheron to get her ultimate. And of course, she applies her own debuffs with her own skill, so that also plays into that factor as well. So yeah, now they're just re-showing that clip of how the dog explodes and then applies more debuffs on that main enemy right there. And therefore, Acheron is able to get her ultimate because of those debuffs that were just applied. And then this is going to show her ultimate right here. This is honestly my favorite animation in the game, but it is really cool. So you get like kind of 3 hits right here, and you could switch those targets every time. And then that last final 4th hit right there just does a bunch of damage to all those enemies. And that's where you get the most damage from that. But yeah, I really love that ult animation. I'm sure you guys do. It's really, really sick. But yeah, now they're just also talking about how she doesn't have an energy gauge for her ult because she kind of has her own energy gauge for her ult, because as we just said, her energy gauge is determined by how many debuffs she's able to get. And now they're just going to show how her technique works. And her technique is very interesting. As you guys just saw, it actually instantly kills the enemy right there. And this can come in real handy, as you guys can imagine, in Simulated Universe, when you need to just kill an enemy so you can get the blessing from it. But it's not that kind of viable, because obviously it's going to cost technique points, and obviously you want to save those for when you're doing a boss battle and stuff like that. If you're using Japard, you want to use his defense technique point, and if you have Sparkle on your team, you want to use her technique points, so you start with more skill points, stuff like that. So of course, if you do have a lot of technique points saved up, you can use that to just quickly get by mobs. But it is a nice thing to have in Simulated Universe and stuff like that. This clip is pretty cool, actually. They actually show Acheron slicing through a bunch of enemies. Of course, if you're not running Simulated Universe and you're just kind of in the overworld or in Penacony or whatever, it is really nice to have, because you could just auto kill these enemies and then still reap the rewards from killing them, which is really, really nice. So they're just showing that again. But yeah, it's going to be pretty fun to use this technique, especially in the overworld and stuff, but it might not be that viable as you might think in Simulated Universe, because you won't have that many points. But we'll get on to the next thing here. So now we're just going to take a more in-depth look at Acheron and her kit. So a bunch of these pictures are going to be from Honkai Star Rail Days on Instagram, so definitely check them out for more stuff like this. But right here, it's just kind of explaining a little thing of her story. I'm sure you guys know about her story already, if you guys played the story. But her path right there, it shows it's Nihility. She is a Nihility unit. Her type is Lightning, which is really, really cool. And then she is a 5-star character. I'm sure you guys already knew this stuff. But she's a 5-star, and of course she's going to be on that banner that's coming out pretty soon. So second thing we'll look at right here is her 3 main traces. Now one of these is going to be really important, and we'll get to that one. I believe it's the second one right there, the Abyss. But we'll start with that first one right there called Thunder Core. And right there it reads that when the Rain Blade from Acheron's ultimate hits enemy targets with Crimson Knot, her damage increases by 30%, stacking up to 3 times and lasting for 3 turns. So of course, she'll get Crimson Knot while she applies those debuffs on the enemies. So you'll always have Crimson Knot on the enemy as long as you're attacking them. So you're gonna get more damage from attacking enemies that you've already hit, basically. And when Stygian Resurge triggers, additionally deals damage for 6 times. Each time deals lightning damage equal to 25% of Acheron's attack to a single random enemy and is viewed as part of ultimate damage. So that's really nice. So it's basically just adding more damage to her overall kit. And now we'll take a look at this second trace here. So her second trace here is called the Abyss. And right here it says when there are 1 or 2 Nihility characters other than Acheron in the team, the damage dealt by Acheron's basic attack, skill, and ultimate increases to 115% or 160 of the original damage respectively. So now the only way you can get the 160% damage increase is if you have 2 Nihility characters on the same team with Acheron. And if you run 1 Nihility character, then you'll only be getting 115%. So if you only run 1, then you're missing out on 45% damage, if I'm doing the math correctly, if you're only running 1 more Nihility character on the team. And this is very essential to Acheron and her kit, because if you don't run her with other Nihility characters on her team, then you're going to be missing out on a lot of damage. So you at least want to run 1 or 2. You really should use 2. Unless you have her E2, if you have her second Eidolon, you could actually use 1 and still get the 160% damage boost. But we'll talk about that later when we get into her Eidolons. The other trace there is called Red Oni, and I'll read that one off as well. And it says, when the battle starts, immediately gains 5 points of Slash Dream. So those are the things that she gets from attacking enemies, that apply the debuffs and stuff like that, and applies 5 stacks of Crimson Knot to a random enemy. When Slash Dream reaches its upper limit, for every point of Slash Dream that exceeds the limit, gains 1 stack of Quadrivalent Ascendance, I hope I'm saying that right, and increases the maximal stackable count for Quadrivalent Ascendance to 3. Now I'm not quite sure what that does exactly for the Quadrivalent Ascendance, but I imagine it just does more damage, as she is a damage character. So that's what you can guess from that information. But yeah, these are her 3 main traces, and that's the main takeaway from these main traces. I would say is that second trace right there, the Abyss, is very important. You really want to run her with other Nihility characters, because she gets a whole lot of damage running her alongside other Nihility characters. Next up, we'll take a more in-depth look at her technique and kind of what it does. For these next kind of ones that I'm showing, I won't go too much in depth with them, because we kind of already explained them and showed them in the live stream when we went over that information. But right here, it immediately attacks the enemy. At the start of each wave, gains Quadrivalent Ascendance, dealing lightning damage to 200% of Acheron's attack to all enemies, and reducing toughness of all enemies, irrespective of weakness type. So that's really nice to have that as well. When weakness is broken, triggers the lightning weakness break effect. Quadrivalent Ascendance. After using the ultimate, Acheron gains 1 point of Slash Dream and inflicts 1 stack of Crimson Knot on a single random enemy. If attacking a normal enemy, immediately defeats them without entering combat, and when not hitting enemies, no technique points are consumed. And now we'll take a look at her talent and kind of what that does as well. The main takeaway from this is going to be the first couple things I read off. I won't read the rest there just because it's a lot of information, but it's not that important. Basically, it's just saying that it applies more Slash Dreams and more Crimson Knot, which is the main thing that she gets from attacking enemies, and the main thing that is, the debuff thing that gives her ultimate. But that first thing says right there that when Slash Dream reaches 9 points, the ultimate can be activated, which we know. So you basically just need 9 debuffs in order to apply in order to start her ultimate animation, so you can do the most amount of damage there. And then during the ultimate, reduces enemies' toughness regardless of weakness types, and reduces all enemies' all-type resistance by 20%, lasting until the end of the ultimate. So if you guys run Ron May, this is going to make a lot of sense. Basically, she just lowers every type of enemy's defense, to put it simply, and she's going to do damage to basically any type of unit, way more because of the all-type res, getting a 20% downgrade on any type of enemy and reducing that enemy's toughness. So yeah, you're going to be doing a lot of damage with her ultimate attack. Now I've got her ultimate information on screen, so we're just going to read some of that stuff right here. As you guys saw the ultimate animation before, it's really cool, and this is how she's going to get most of her damage onto the enemy. And of course, we know her ultimate is an AoE attack, but right there it says it sequentially unleashes Rainblade 3 times and Stygian Resurge 1 time, dealing lightning damage up to 372% of Acheron's attack to a single target enemy, as well as lightning damage up to 300% of Acheron's attack to other targets surrounding them. And then Rainblade, it says, deals lightning damage equal to 24% of Acheron's attack to a single target enemy, and removes up to 3 stacks of Crimson Knot from the target, which we get from her attacking the target with her skill. And then when Crimson Knot is removed, immediately deals lightning damage equal to 15% of Acheron's attack to all enemies. For every stack of Crimson Knot removed, the damage multiplier for this is additionally increased up to a maximum of 60%. And then right there on the bottom says Stygian Resurge deals lightning damage equal to 120% of Acheron's attack to all enemies and remove all Crimson Knots. And I believe that's the last part of the ultimate that is just going to hit all the enemies. And then it says Crimson Knot cannot be applied to enemies during the ultimate. So yeah, that is kind of what her ultimate does and how much damage you're going to get from it. So now we'll just quickly brush over her skill as well as her basic attack. But her skill is way more important, so I'll just look at that first here. But right there it says it gains 1 point of Slash Dream, which we know that is needed to get her ultimate, and then inflicts 1 stack of Crimson Knot on a single target enemy, dealing lightning damage equal to 160% of Acheron's attack to this target, as well as lightning damage equal to 60% of Acheron's attack to adjacent targets. And then for her basic attack, it deals lightning damage equal to 100% of Acheron's attack to a single target enemy. Alright guys, now that we got that information out of the way, I'm just going to take a quick look on what kind of relic she needs for her kit, and what kind of relics are going to be the best for her. So right here on screen, it's going to be the Pioneer Diver of Dead Waters is going to be her best 4-piece relic set that you guys should be grinding out in the Caverns of Corrosions. I actually do have a more in-depth video on my channel if you guys want to know what exact substats and all that kind of stuff you should be looking for when you are grinding this set. So definitely check out that video if you really want to know some more information about her relic set. But the only thing you really need to know for this right now is that the 2-piece increases damage dealt to enemies with debuff by 12%. So obviously she applies a debuff with her main attacks and her ultimate and all that stuff. And so she'll get a 12% attack bonus from the 2-piece. And then with the 4-piece effect, and you obviously want to be using a 4-piece here, it increases the crit rate by 4%, so already a crit rate bonus by 4%, so which is really nice already. And then the wearer deals 8% or 12% increased crit damage to enemies with at least 2 to 3 debuffs. After the wearer inflicts a debuff on enemy targets, the aforementioned effects increase 100%, lasting for 1 turn. So yeah, obviously you guys are probably going to have 3 debuffs on your enemy targets because you're going to be applying debuffs with your other Nihility characters on the team. As well as, you know, Acheron herself is going to be applying the debuff, so you're going to get 12% increased crit damage, and then that's going to increase by 100%. So I believe an 100% times multiplier on 12% is going to get you to 24% increased crit damage, and then you also have that increased crit rate by 4% already, and then of course you have the 12% attack bonus. So yeah, this is going to be the set that you guys are going to want to grind in the Caverns of Corrosions. It's easily going to be her best set, but yeah, I wish you guys best of luck on your relic rolls as always. And now guys, I have her 2-piece relic set that you guys should be farming. When it comes out, actually, this is actually not out as of this video, but it is going to come out when 2.1 comes out along with Acheron's banner. So there is going to be a new simulated universe that you guys can farm for this. I think it's going to be World 9. This is the main set that you guys are going to be hoping for when you play that simulated universe, is the Izumo, Gensei, and Takama Divine Realm. And what it does is it increases the wearer's attack by 12%. When entering battle, if at least one other ally follows the same path as the wearer, then the wearer's crit rate increases by 12%. So yeah, obviously when you run Acheron, you're gonna have her with at least one or two other Nihility path characters, so you're automatically gonna get that 12% attack bonus, and then if you run her with the Nihility character, you're gonna get the 12% increased crit rate. So yeah, it's gonna be a really, really good set for Acheron. Definitely gonna be her best in slot for a two-piece planar ornament. And it also is actually very good with Dr. Ratio and Topaz as well. So you can also grind it for those other characters, but yeah, it's definitely gonna be Acheron's best relic. And so now I'm just going to be showing all the trace materials you guys should be farming for Acheron. So when she comes out, you guys are fully prepared with her trace materials. So you can level up all those traces, therefore making her much, much stronger. And so now up on screen, I have her trace materials, the main ones that you guys should be farming. I believe you can get these from the Bud of Nihility, the one from Penacony, the one that just released. So yeah, you definitely want to farm this one a bunch. And now I have the Dream Bolt component, I believe it's called, up on screen. It's that little green thing with the eyes. But yeah, you're definitely going to want to have a lot of these as well. I believe you can get these from doing the daily assignments. So you could just rack up a bunch of these, just logging on daily and doing your assignments. And now up on screen, I have the Borehole of the Planet Disasters. I think that's what it's called. But you can get these from farming the Echoes of War, so you're going to need a bunch of these for leveling up her traces as well. And then last but not least, I have that kind of yellow looking thing in the bottom right corner. I think it's called like the Lightning Staff or something like that. But you need a bunch of those as well to level up her traces. And I think you can get them from the same kind of area. You can get the Borehole Disasters, or if not, it's like in one of the other crimson kind of bud things. Maybe it's in the golden calyxes, I'm not too sure, but I'm sure you guys can find it, and you need a bunch of those to level up Acheron's traces as well. And now I do want to talk about her signature Lightcone as well, as it is very, very important, much more important than you might think. And the reason for this is because Acheron is a Nihility character, but she is more like a destruction kind of hunt character because she does a lot of damage, as we know now. But this Lightcone is very, very important, and I really recommend you guys try pulling for it, or at least trying to get the 50-50 to try to get a chance at getting it, because being that she is a Nihility character, the Lightcone selection for her is really, really not that good, because Nihility characters, they do damage, but generally they're not, main damage dealers. So her signature Lightcone is kind of a perfect Lightcone for her because it adds to her damage output. And so now I'll just read off what her Lightcone does and how vital it is to her kit. And if you guys are pulling for Acheron, then I really recommend you try to get this. But what it does is it increases the wearer's crit damage by 36%. And then when the wearer hits the enemy target, there's an 100% base chance of inflicting empty bubbles to the enemy, lasting for 1 turn. And this is actually very important because this empty bubbles here actually acts as a debuff. And we know that Acheron, her ultimate is actually gained from the amount of debuffs she is applying to enemies, and as well as other characters on your team who also are applying debuffs, acts towards her ultimate and getting that. So this empty bubbles actually adds 1 more debuff that'll stack on to that full, I think it's 9 that you need. So yeah, this is just gonna make getting her ultimate much faster if you have this signature Lightcone. And then on top of that, the rest of this reads that this effect can be triggered 1 time against each target for every attack the wearer launches. So every time she attacks someone, she's going to get this empty bubble. So it's very, very overpowered. And then the wearer deals 24% more damage to targets afflicted with empty bubbles, and damage from the ultimate additionally increases 24%. So yeah, you're basically just getting a fuck ton more damage with this. You're doing more damage to the enemy that is afflicted with this debuff from the signature Lightcone, and then you're also getting a 24% ultimate damage multiplier, and you're also getting a 36% bonus to your crit damage as well. So yeah, I definitely recommend you guys pulling this signature Lightcone. It is really, really good to have. So yeah, see if you guys could pull at least to a 50-50 on it. So I believe it's like what? I think it's a 90 pulls that you need to pull to try to get a 50-50 shot at the Lightcone. Correct me if I'm wrong, but yeah, this is a really, really good Lightcone for her to have, and I really recommend you guys trying to get it. And I do want to touch on her Eidolons. but the only one I'm going to be talking about is her E2. I'm not going to talk about the rest as they pretty much just add more damage to her damage output, but her E2 is very, very important. And if you are trying to wail on Acheron, if you do have a lot of summons saved up, I really hope you guys do get this E2 because it is very, very good. But right here it says it's called the Mute Thunder and Still Tempest. And right there it reads that the number of characters on the path of Nihility required for the highest value of the trace the Abyss is reduced by 1. At the beginning of Acheron's turn, gain 1 point of Slash Dream. Additionally, inflict 1 stack of Crimson Knot on an enemy with the most Crimson Knot. So yeah, the main takeaway from this is that the Path of Nihility, you're gonna need only one character to get that full 160% damage buff that we talked about previously in the video. This is really, really important. This means that you could have another slot for a whole different character that doesn't need to be on the Path of Nihility in order to get that damage buff. So yeah, if you guys could pull this E2, I definitely recommend you guys trying to pull for it because it is really, really good to have, as you don't have to run 2 Nihility characters to get that extra damage, which is pretty much you need to if you don't have this. But yeah, I really recommend you guys trying to get this E2 here. It's very, very good. This means that you could run a Sparkle on the team. Any other character that you would want to run on the team, like a Ron May, could be great in that other slot. But yeah, this is a really, really good E2 to have. So I really hope you guys get this one. And I just want to quickly touch on this other Lightcone here called the Trend of the Universal Market. You guys might know about this Lightcone. But this Lightcone is very, very important as well. But it actually doesn't go on Acheron. It actually goes on preservation units. So units like Japard, your Fushuan, units like that who are shielders, maybe even Aventurine too. They should really use this Lightcone because it's actually very good. And the reason why you want to run this Trend of the Universal Market Lightcone on your preservation unit alongside Acheron is because right here it reads that it increases the wearer's defense by 16%, and when the wearer is attacked, there is a 100% base chance to burn the enemy, and for each turn the wearer deals damage over time that is equal to 40% of the wearer's defense for 2 turns. So basically this is acting as another debuff that will add to Acheron's energy gauge in order to get her ultimate faster, therefore doing more damage. So yeah, you just want to use this on your preservation unit if you do have it. If you don't have it, it's fine, but it is a really good Lightcone to use with Acheron because you're getting more debuffs, so you can get that ultimate off faster. And I do want to mention some characters that are going to be great to run alongside Acheron, so you can get more damage and get her ultimate off faster by applying debuffs with these characters. So first up on screen I have Welt, and Welt is actually a great character to run alongside Acheron as he is a Nihility character, so you're getting the bonus damage from that trace, and then he also applies debuffs with his skill and I believe his ultimate as well. And so from his debuff, he lowers the speed of the enemies, and of course this will add to Acheron's energy gauge, therefore getting off her ultimate faster. And Silverwolf is also a great character to run alongside Acheron, as she also is a Nihility path character, so you're getting that extra damage from her trace. And then she also, I think she slows down the enemy as well as, I think Welt does the same thing. I'm not too sure though because I don't have these characters, but Silverwolf is a great character to run alongside Acheron because she applies those debuffs with her skill and her ultimate, therefore getting Acheron's attack or her ultimate off faster. And then last but not least, we have Pela here, and Pela is also a great character to run alongside Acheron because she applies her debuff with her ultimate, and her ultimate does at least a 30% defense down on all of those enemies that you use the ultimate on. And honestly, I would say that she is probably the best Nihility character to run alongside Acheron. She might not get as many debuffs off because Silverwolf and Welt apply debuffs with her skills, but Pela doesn't do that with her skill. I believe Pela actually removes a buff from the enemies that she uses it on. So unless you have her, I think like E4 or E6, you won't be able to apply debuffs with her skill. But she is on the banner for Acheron's banner, so I hope you do get a bunch of pulls of her. So I wish you guys good luck, but yeah, I think she's honestly just the best because even though she might not be debuffing as much as the other characters that we just mentioned, but her main ultimate that gives a debuff to all the enemies is really, really good because it gives a 30% defense down on all those enemies which is way better than some of the other ultimates that we just mentioned on the other characters. Because that 30% defense down is just going to do so much more damage when Acheron attacks with her ultimate. And that lasts for 2 turns, by the way. So yeah, you're just going to be doing way more damage using Pela on your team alongside Acheron. And it is nice that you get the debuff from her too. So yeah, I definitely recommend you guys run Pela on your teams with Acheron, just so you can get even more damage from Acheron's ultimate. But yeah, guys, I think that's going to be it for this video. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, definitely consider liking and subscribing. I did mention a lot of stuff in this video, so I know there's a lot of stuff to go through, especially if you guys are going through the chapters and whatnot. But yeah, there's a lot of information, but I hope I covered everything pretty well, so that you guys are prepared enough for when Acheron comes out. But yeah, if you guys are summoning for her, I wish you guys the best of luck. But yeah, if you guys like this type of content, I have plenty more gacha related content on my channel, especially Honkai Star Rail, and I'm relatively new to the YouTube creation scene, so I definitely would appreciate you guys supporting the channel. And yeah, guys, I think I'm just gonna leave it off on that, and I wish you guys the best of luck on your Acheron pulls. And yeah, guys, Zoc out.